Okay, so we are going to understand the popular method of exporting goods, okay, that is freight on board contract. Before that, we will understand that what is the export transaction. So let's say suppose there is Mr. A who is residing in country I, and there is a second person, Mr. C, who is residing in country A, or not A, otherwise it will be confusing, country B. Okay, so let's say Mr. A has transferred certain goods of $1,000. Okay, Mr. C has paid in cash, like in foreign currency. Okay, so that transaction will be considered as freight on board, freight on board contract. Okay, export transaction basically. So this is the example of export transaction. Example export. Okay. However, freight on board method is the most popular, which is chosen by buyer, or we can say importer also. Why that so? Because in case of freight on board, the seller, the buyer pays the shipping expenses. Okay. However, there are certain benefits available to buyer also. But in that case, what happens? Sometimes the buyer does not pay in cash. The buyer pays in credit terms. The buyer pays. The buyer does not pay immediately. Okay. So within 1 month. So Mr. C has promised to pay within 1 month. Now in that case, what will happen if Mr. C, as being buyer, and Mr. A is seller? So as Mr. C will pay the shipping expenses, okay, the shipping expenses, then what will happen? Two accounts will be affected. That is stock and that is cash. Okay, why stock and why not shipping expenses? Because the cost of stock will include shipping expenses. So write it down. Cost of stock plus shipping expenses. Okay. So this account will include shipping expenses as well as cost of raw material. That is $1,000. Okay. And if the amount is being paid in cash, then cash account will also be affected. So these are both the accounts which will be affected with the transaction. Okay, so it means that we have identified our solution that matches with choice B. Okay, that stock and cash account will be affected if this transaction will happen. Okay, so I have stated the example of export transaction, okay, with regard to freight on board also. So you can refer the example for complete solution. However, the choice B is the correct answer. That's all for our solution.